Is a G, the D, the A, and the E. And a bass guitar is tuned in fourths. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down below that, and we're going to be able to hit a B, which is nice. So that we can, so on the 5th fret of this big fat string here, the B string, is our E. So what we can do now is we can go down below and play. Also, what's nice about this, you can play right along with a 7-string guitar, which is also tuned down to a B. So now you're on equal footing. You can also get a 6-string bass, which adds a high C up on top above the G string. Mostly an instrument used for a lot of jazz playing, and certainly if you're going to be doing soloing. But for metal bass playing, a 5-string is a great instrument to have in your arsenal. And one thing about it that you do have to work a little bit on is the technique of how to play that string, as you can be aggressively jamming along on your other 4 strings. You have to be careful once you go down to this larger string, because the larger the string, the more it starts to rattle. Right? It gets kind of raspy and kind of ratty sounding. So you need to actually lighten your touch a little bit and stroke the string as opposed to hammering on it in order to get the note to really ring out a little bit more. Same is true if you're going to be using your fingers. It does require a different technique. Okay, let's talk about practicing a little bit. Practicing often sounds a lot like homework, like this dull, boring thing that I have to endure in order to get through it. But practicing can be a lot of fun. I find that having a drum machine really helps kind of perk up my practicing, because any drum machine is going to have a multitude of settings in there and even allow you to write some of your own drum patterns. What's fun about practicing along with a drum machine is that you can you go through all of these different grooves. You can go through a shuffle, a blues, even a country beat. You can go through rock beats, and you can go through metal beats and all kinds of different things, which will actually help your playing. What I recommend is trying to even go through some of the patterns with the drum machine, play the same line using a different groove. It may not be metal, but it will help develop your sense of timing and your sense of groove. And the other thing about practicing is that if you start things slow and really work on it, because you're not on stage, you're not performing for anybody, practicing is a time to slow things down and really be critical of your playing. And again, be honest with yourself. If there's a deficiency in something that you're playing, really work on it. Maybe it's a right hand technique of your picking isn't good. Maybe the way you're stroking and plucking the string could use some improvement. Maybe it's some of the passages that you're playing with your left hand. Be honest with yourself and be critical of yourself so that you can improve as a bass player. I also like to work with different instruments. It's great if you can learn some keyboard instruments, because everything is laid out in front of you. You can actually see what you're playing, which is different than how it is on a guitar or a bass. Speaking of guitar, it's good to be able to learn how to play guitar, especially if you're going to be a metal bass player. A lot of what we do, we're emulating and we're playing along with guitar parts. And I always like to think of the bass as the mortar, in other words, the cement that holds the blocks together. A lot of people look at the foundation of a band as being the bass and the drums. To me, in most metal, it's the rhythm guitar and the drums. That is really the meat and potatoes of a metal band, of a metal song. The bass oftentimes get lost because oftentimes there isn't the right tone, or there isn't enough originality or creativity in the parts. So practicing can help you work on those kind of things. Also, I find spending time with the instrument away from a band setting is important, because the more that I spend time away from a group setting, I'm able to develop my own personality and to develop my own chops. And last but not least, make sure that you have fun doing it. I like to have some instruments laying around the house so that sometimes out of sight, out of mind. You know, if I have my instruments put away in a case and they're in a closet, I sometimes forget about them, and sometimes days can go by before I really get my hands on playing, because we can all get too busy doing other things, even though I may want to play. So leave some instruments out, or leave your bass out so where you can see it. This way you can pick it up and spend a little bit of time with it. I think it's always better to spend a few minutes on a regular basis rather than not playing for a week or two and trying to cram and get it all in at once. You're playing, you're going to definitely reap the rewards by spending a lot of just even small incremental time with it. The other thing is try to be disciplined. You know, spend part of your time working on difficult things. At it, meaning we move it down 1 fret, which makes it diminished, and then we add the octave up above. Now in this particular case, I'm going to play it down. So we're going to be starting up here from the 14th down to the 12th fret. And then we're going to move it down 1 whole step from the 12, 11, down to the 10th fret. And then we're going to work on this little riff here to tie it together, which is kind of a cool hip metal movement. So what that is that's the 5th fret on the A string to the 7th fret. Using the half step now, we go up to the 8th fret. So we're even incorporating a little bit of the chromatic scale in there too. So let's put that together real quick. There's a little bit of metal for you right there. Okay. Now the next section that we're going to go is we're going to chug along with the guitar here, which is we're going to go down to the E string again, and we're going to play on the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st fret as well as an open string. As if that weren't enough, we're going to now find, for the finality here of this whole thing, we're going to add the sort of an arpeggio of the 1-5, and we're going to do this starting up on the 10th fret, the 9th fret, and down to the 8th fret. So as we're finishing this, like, okay, so we'll put it together real slow.